Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 26. Bible study, KJV. Today we are going to deeply study Exodus, chapter 20, verses 1 through 26, from the King James Version of the Bible. This passage is one of the most important moments in all of Scripture. It is where God Himself speaks directly to His people and gives what we know as the Ten Commandments. To truly understand this chapter, we must first connect it to the broader context of Scripture. The Israelites have just been delivered from Egypt. They witnessed the Red Sea being parted. They saw God's power, His judgment, and His mercy. Now they arrive at Mount Sinai. Why does God bring them here? Because salvation always comes before instruction. God did not give the law to save them. He saved them first and then gave them the law. This is a very important spiritual principle. God's law is not a way to earn salvation. It is a way to live as people who are already saved. Now let us begin. 1. God speaks directly. Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 2. And God spake all these words. This is not Moses speaking. This is God Himself. In Hebrew understanding, when God speaks directly, it means divine authority and covenant establishment. God introduces Himself. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Why does He say this first? Because relationship comes before command. God is saying, I am already your God. I have already saved you. This is not a distant God. This is a covenant God. 2. The first commandment. No other gods. Chapter 20, verses 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. In the ancient Near Eastern world, people worshipped many gods, fertility gods, storm gods, war gods. But God declares absolute exclusivity. Why? Because divided worship leads to divided hearts. Spiritually, this means anything that takes the place of God in your life becomes your God. Today, this could be money, success, relationships, or even yourself. God is not competing. He demands full devotion. 3. The second commandment. No idols. Chapter 20, verses 4 through 6. God forbids making graven images. Why is this so important? Because God cannot be reduced to an image. In Hebrew thought, God is infinite, invisible, and beyond creation. An idol limits God. Spiritually, idols are not just statues. They are false ideas about God. When we reshape God according to our preferences, we create a modern idol. 4. The third commandment. God's name. Chapter 20, verses 7. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. This is not just about speech. In Hebrew culture, a name represents identity and authority. To misuse God's name means to represent Him falsely. For example, claiming to follow God but living in contradiction. This is a serious spiritual warning. 5. The fourth commandment, the Sabbath. Chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Why does God command rest? Because rest is an act of trust. In ancient times, survival depended on constant work. But God says stop. Why? Because He is the provider. Spiritually, Sabbath reminds us, we are not sustained by our effort but by God's grace. 6. The fifth commandment, honor parents, chapter 20, verses 12. This command connects family with divine order. In Hebrew culture, honoring parents meant honoring God's authority structure. Why is this important? Because how we respond to authority shapes our relationship with God. 7. The sixth to 10th commandments, chapter 20, verses 13 through 17. These commands move into human relationships. Do not murder. Life belongs to God. Do not commit adultery. Covenant must be protected. Do not steal. Respect what God has given others. Do not bear false witness. Truth reflects God's nature. Do not covet. The heart must be aligned with God. Notice something important. The last commandment deals with desire. Why? Because sin begins in the heart before it appears in action. 8. The fear of God, chapter 20, verses 18 through 21. The people tremble and stand far off. They are afraid. Why? Because they are encountering holiness. Moses says something profound. Fear not that His fear may be before your faces. This seems like a contradiction, but it is not. There are two kinds of fear. Fear that drives you away from God. Fear that draws you into reverence. God desires reverence, not distance. 9. Worship without idols. Chapter 20, verses 22 through 26. God instructs them to build altars of earth, not elaborate structures. Why? Because worship is not about human creativity. It is about God's presence. Even the detail about steps is significant. God removes human pride from worship. Spiritual meaning and God's will. This entire chapter reveals something deeper. The law is not just rules, it is a reflection of God's character. God is holy, faithful, truthful, just loving. The commandments show us who God is, and they also show us who we are not. This is why we need grace. Application for today. Today, we do not live under the law in the same way, but the heart of the law still applies. Ask yourself, what is my other God? What idols have I created? Do I truly honor God in my life? Is my heart aligned with Him? The law leads us to self-examination, and ultimately it leads us to God. Conclusion. Exodus 20 is not just a list of commandments. It is an invitation to relationship, an invitation to holiness, an invitation to understand God's will. When we truly understand this chapter, we do not just obey God. We begin to love Him more deeply. Thank you.